Marcus is staring at his banking app. It's a Tuesday night, and the screen says $34,200. For 5 years, he skipped the weekend trips. He skipped the impulse buys, the upgrades, the things his friends were doing without a second thought. He built this number one deposit at a time, and for years it felt like pride, solid ground under his feet. Lately, it started to feel like something else, something closer to dread. Here's why. His bank pays him 0.05% a year. On $34,000, that's about $17 total for the entire year. Meanwhile, inflation is running around 3.5%, which means the actual buying power of his life savings is quietly draining away by roughly $1,190 a year, whether he touches it or not. Marcus has spent 5 years successfully saving himself into poverty, and the idea of moving a single dollar of it terrifies him. Then a coworker starts bragging by the coffee machine, 300% on some speculative tech startup in a matter of months. Marcus goes home that night and downloads a trading app, neon-colored, built to feel like a game. He links his bank account. He pulls up a single volatile stock. He hovers his thumb over the buy button. $15,000, almost half of everything he owns, riding on one company's next earnings report. His heart is pounding. His stomach turns. He cancels the transfer. He realizes something in that moment. Going straight from hoarding cash to gambling on a single stock isn't a strategy. It's just a different way to panic. So he starts over, properly this time. First, he builds a moat. He adds up what he actually needs to survive. Rent, groceries, utilities, and lands on $3,000 a month. 6 months of that is $18,000, and he moves it into a high-yield savings account paying 4.5%. This money isn't going anywhere. It's not for growing. It's armor. Then he draws a line in his head. The $18,000 becomes preservation capital. Safe, boring, allowed to lose a little to inflation on purpose. The $16,200 that's left becomes growth capital, built to take some hits, built to outrun inflation over time. One is told to stay still. The other is told to run. He doesn't dump it all in at once. He opens a plain brokerage account and buys $8,000 of a total global equity fund. Then he sets up an automation. $450, pulled from his checking account on the first of every month, buying more of that same fund. No decision required, no emotion involved. Here's where the math actually gets interesting. If the global market does what it's done historically, a conservative 7% a year, that $8,000 starting point plus $450 a month for 20 years grows into something over $260,000. More than half of that final number won't be money Marcus ever earned at his job. It'll be growth, compounding quietly in the background while he lives his life. Here's what's actually happening inside that fund, because the name makes it sound more complicated than it is. A total global equity fund doesn't try to find the one needle in the haystack, the next great stock, the next huge winner. It just buys the entire haystack. One ticker symbol, and Marcus instantly owns tiny slivers of thousands of companies spread across the globe. If one of them collapses tomorrow, it barely registers. He's not betting on a company anymore. He's betting on human progress as a whole, continuing to move forward. 7 months later, that bet gets tested. A supply chain crisis rattles the global economy, and the stock market drops 12% in 19 days. Marcus opens his app and watches his investments turn red. And in that same week, his Honda's transmission gives out on the highway. A flat, non-negotiable $3,200 repair bill. Old Marcus would have panicked. This Marcus doesn't touch a single dollar of his investments. He transfers $3,200 straight out of his high-yield savings account and pays the mechanic without blinking. Meanwhile, his automation fires right on schedule. $450 on the first of the month, quietly buying shares at 12% off. The panic that used to live in his chest is just gone. The system absorbed it for him. Now, none of this makes for a very exciting story. This strategy will not buy Marcus a Ferrari next year. Checking his portfolio gives him roughly zero dopamine. And it's worth saying clearly, sitting in cash isn't some rookie mistake either. If you're buying a house in 18 months, or your income swings wildly month to month the way a freelancer's does, keeping your money boring and liquid in a savings account is a completely sound decision. Investing trades, safety for growth, and locks up money you might need. It really comes down to your own timeline. If you need the money tomorrow, you save it. If you don't need it for 20 years, you let it grow. Money problems usually aren't complicated. They're just never explained properly. That's what this channel does. If that helped, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.